Hey guys, I am in my work kitchen right now and I am making a infused oil that I'm infusing fresh. And even though we have an older video on this, I figured I might as well do it with you all. It's always good to just refresh people's minds on things like this that are a little more tricky. I know people get really nervous about making fresh infused oils because of the possibility for mold to contaminate the oil infusion. So the more I talk about it, hopefully the better you feel about it. So right now I'm infusing fresh California poppy root and leaf and flower into organic extra virgin olive oil. And I actually let this fresh California poppy wilt for 2 days because it's a really moist plant that holds a lot of water. So this is about 2 days wilted, but even though most of the moisture is out of it, there is definitely still moisture in it. And as you know, roots hold a lot of moisture, and since we are infusing some roots in here as well, I just want to be extra safe. So what I'm going to do is actually 2 methods for infusing fresh oils. I'm going to take some alcohol and massage just enough to coat my plant matter. I've actually got it right here. If you're wondering why my alcohol is yellow, it's because I'm actually using fresh California poppy tincture instead of just plain alcohol, but you can use just plain alcohol. So I've poured just enough into here to get my plant matter wet. And so I'm sort of massaging it into this plant matter. You don't want any drops of alcohol. You literally want just enough to coat your plant. The second method that we're using is the double broiler that we have set up. So now that I've massaged my alcohol, I'm going to take my oil and pour it on in. And now we're just going to let it do its thing for probably, I usually do 2 to 4 hours, sometimes more depending on if we're infusing plant matter, resins, hardwoods, roots, etc. And since this is mostly like light plant matter, we don't want to overdo it. So I'm probably going to let this go for 2 hours. And then at that point, some people might immediately strain it, but I like to let mine sit for 30 days. I really want to get the most as I possibly can out of this plant. And I don't need it at a certain time, so, you know, why not? So I'm going to let this sit for about 2 hours. I'm going to turn my double broiler down to low, about 3. And then after that 2-hour period, I'm going to pour it into a jar. Now, the reason that I'm using the double broiler and the alcohol method is to help extract the properties of the plant, but also to avoid that risk of mold contaminating my jar. So why use fresh plant matter if you can just use dried and not worry about those risks? Fresh plant matter, in my personal opinion, has a lot more to offer than dried. Especially certain plants like skullcap, St. John's wort, and really, in my opinion, California poppy, they need to be used fresh. You lose a lot when that water evaporates out of the plant. So I love this plant, I love what it does, and so I really want to just give it time to do its thing. So I'm also going to show you this beautiful California poppy tincture from last year. Poppy is a gorgeous like orange plant, so you can tell regardless of the shitty glare that this is a beautiful orange tincture, much like the color of my bandana. And it smells and tastes like fresh poppy, which is another amazing benefit of using fresh herbs. And this plant just has so much. Okay, so let's get into that. Why am I using it both tinctured and topically? It is a wonderful pain reliever. It is considered a nervine. However, sorry about that, my video got interrupted. So back in the day, it was considered more of a sedative herb. And it absolutely has sedative properties, especially taken at large doses. However, if you're taking it by the dropper full and just, once or twice a day, it's only going to be just mildly sedative, nothing crazy that's going to knock you out. You can take amounts of it that will do that. Drinking a full cup of tea does that for me. It's really nice if you're having trouble sleeping, if you suffer from insomnia, or if you have a lot of pain and tension that's stopping you from sleeping or relaxing. California poppy might be for you. I love making the tea when I have the plant fresh. However, that only happens once a year at this exact time, which is May of 2021 currently. And so I really try to use the plant in as many ways as I can fresh, because it's the only time I'm going to have it for the whole year. So I might enjoy a cup, while I'm making some stuff, or the week that I have it fresh. But otherwise, I'm trying to preserve it through oil and alcohol. So taking the tincture internally can do a lot of things. In fact, this is another tincture that you can use as an oral swish. People have historically, by people I should say Native American people specifically, which is where most of our folk traditional methods of using the plant and what the plant offers us comes from. They would traditionally chew the root for oral pain, and also apply the chewed up root and plant topically for pain. So, for example, we use poultices like fleabane, yarrow, plantain, calendula if we get a cut or a scrape or a gash. California poppy topical is going to be amazing for when you really hurt yourself and you are in physical pain. So, major wounds, especially if you fall and you're not breaking the skin, but you have like a throbbing bruise or a break even, you might apply a poultice of California poppy and comfrey. California poppy topically is just as relaxing as it is internally. It's really, really nice for just some mild pain relief. It being a nervine and applying it topically through fats like the olive oil, it's going to really soothe your nerves, your central nervous system, and not only help deliver the plant for pain relief, but for relaxation even topically. So wonderful massage oil. I will say I use it most internally for pain, and I use it more for pain than I do anxiety. However, it's just as great for anxiety, and most of the studies that we have on California poppy have been for stress and anxiety disorders. That was weird, but it was just the wind. Okay, what else to say about California poppy? The roots are the same color as the flower, which is so cool. You cut into them and there's like this beautiful, almost mango orange red blood. It is gorgeous. And it's a really beautiful plant. Oh, one more thing I learned about it recently is that in Morocco, traditionally, they take the poppy petals, and I don't know exactly which type of poppy, but I believe you could do it with any of the poppies. They dry the petals, they crush them with red clay, and they make a lip stain out of the poppy petals and the clay, and they use it as an ink and a makeup. So freaking cool. I actually ordered some from a Moroccan seller on Etsy if you're interested in trying that out. Okay, what else? I think that might be it. I do want to add one more thing. I've had a lot of loved ones in my life struggle with addiction, and I have worked with a lot of people through addiction herbally. And we did a video last year, which please check this out if you haven't seen it, on the plant wild lettuce and how you can use wild lettuce for major pain relief. I would absolutely use the two of these together for not only intense pain, but people suffering from addiction, people suffering from withdrawals, trying to come off of addiction, people who are sober from addiction but have a really hard time finding ways to relax and calm the mind and the physical self. So I would absolutely put this in that same category. Mildly sedative nervine herbs, please keep in mind if you are helping someone through addiction, are not always going to be a great idea when the addiction is present if the addiction involves opiates. So please also think about that. it's much better for them when they're off of the drugs, especially if they're prescription. Another interesting thing is that wild lettuce and California poppy are non-addictive, even though they have certain alkaloids that are comparable to morphine, and those alkaloids antagonize, what's the word? The alkaloids antagonize certain neurotransmitters in the brain, so many words, that can give very similar effects, but it is non-addictive physically, which is one of the hardest parts of overcoming addiction. So just some more tidbits to keep in mind. I'm going to let this go, and then I'm just going to pour it in a jar, so I don't think that you guys have to stick around for that. Another thing you could do just for fun is, you know, this is very loosely chopped. Once I put it in the jar, I could also blend it real quick just to really get the most from the plant in that oil infusion. I did absolutely blend the poppy fresh in my tincture before straining it. So there you have it.